Okay, we are live and we are back here on air. If you've been tuning in from 7 a.m., you've definitely enjoyed the discussions that were there earlier, even with what the interview we played from Fendo. Fendo is with me here on set. Atatuambia a bit more of how that interview went and, of course, more insights on what is in the papers. This is time for the newspaper review. I have the Standard, the Daily Nation. If you have any other out there, let us know. Headlines in Akazi and your reactions, your responses, and your predictions. That's the same thing we are doing here with Wakili Michael and Fendo. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Biashara Tuesday. I'll start with Fendo. Bari kwako Fendo, and how have you been?
I've been good.
Yes.
My name is Fendo Godwin. I've been coming to this show, and there was one time I said that Parliament is really a serious problem that Kenyans have, and I sent you a short clip. I hope you saw it. That we have been vindicated. Yeah,
you were right even way before these issues
it has been
came
a
to
serious
light.
issue, and we hope there is going to be a lot of reforms and a lot of changes. More so, even from the electorate's now point of perspective, they're also going to be mature up type of voting and not just some cocoon of nonsensical votings without ideologies, without knowing what we want.
Yeah. How would you describe the state of the nation right now in maybe one statement or one sentence? How would you paint a picture to someone who just arrived in Kenya on the state of the nation?
I think on the state of the nation, I'll paint it with in regards to good or bad.
Yeah. How you feel generally? Your final...
right now, I think the state of the nation is in a very good place because we are at the time where now we're cleaning the messes, the issues that have been causing problems to this country. So I'll personally, from my own end, and this is not to represent the views of KUTV, but my own opinion, that we are at a very good time whereby we are now exposing what has been a problem to this country and to the youth.
Right. These
are now what is on the table, and the people are now crying on what they have been suffering about.
Yes, it's an inflection point. I had said earlier even as well that this is at the very moment we need to decide which way do we go. This, for students of calculus and mathematics, they know what an inflection point looks like, and at that point, it's either a maxima or a minima. I will not go into the details. Wakili Michael, karibu kwa show. Please introduce yourself fully to our viewers. Wambie ni nani, unafanya nini, and then also state of the nation from your own point of view.
Thank you for the invite today. My first time on the show. As you've heard, I'm Wakili Michael. I'm in the legal field. I'm a legal and governance specialist. I like introspecting issues of the rule of law, governance, how public offices and state officers are conducting themselves. And if someone will ask me about the period we are in now, I will say it is a historic moment. If someone came and tell them, you just arrived during a pivotal moment in the history of our state. Why? Because for once, we have, the citizenry has merged, has gone beyond tribal lines, beyond class lines. The young people have risen up. I have said, and I was talking today with my friend, I was telling him, we have always had this feeling in between us, and personally, I've always had it that we will go far if we will put our leaders to task. You know, what have you done? So we're in this party, you're supporting so and so, but what have you done as an individual?
Right.
For the longest time, people have rode to power on the basis of who you're supporting on power. But at this point, I think going forward, and if the citizenry, and especially young people, maintain the push, then I see a point where we shall come, and come 2027, it will not be about who are you affiliated with or who do you support, but what have you done as a person. So
right.
I hope we get to that point finally.
Yeah.
But
now you can say we are in a historic moment.
It is truly a historic moment.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very interesting to actually live in those moments. Last week on Tuesday, I knew it was going to be super historic. Yeah. So even before the events of the day occurred, people walking to Parliament, marching in and making their way in, I could feel it in the air that I am at a point that will be taught in history classes in the future. People will be told about the 25th of June 2024 and what the young people did actually. And this is also prolonged even with the activities happening today and throughout the week. So it's a very historic moment, an inflection point where we need to think in which direction are we going to go as a republic. And in light of that, let's see what direction is painted here in the papers. this morning. The Standard, I'll just go straight to the headline. It says, between a rock and a hard place. Between a rock and hard place. The editor of The Standard, alisahau emoja. Can you guys notice that? And it's the headline. Between a rock and hard place. Between a rock and a hard place. How did they miss that? What was Standard? Kunaendaje leo mmesahau? Between a rock and a hard place. But yes, that's the headline, and pictured there is President William Ruto. Today, the youth are occupying everywhere to honor their fallen comrades and to put pressure on the government on matters of governance. Yesterday, the new budget cycle kicked in, but KRA will use the old laws to collect revenue. This has put the head of state in a catch-22. What will he do next? The statement that is quoted here is President William Ruto saying, there are intelligent people in Kenya to differentiate what is good. Yes, but these people don't understand the damage they are doing to the people and to the economy. Interview, many voices of Ruto. Page 4 and 5 speaks to the change in mood, tone, statements by President William Ruto, whether in the same interview or in different occasions. He seems to move from empathy to anger to calm to recollecting to promises to so many things, and we'll get to see how that looks like and where exactly is the truth. If you were to throw a pin on it, will it take on anything that is the truth? That's the Standard. The Daily Nation, the headline still on President William Ruto, the very, very same photo. Just copy assignment yangu, lakini you change jina kidogo na admission number. But it's the same photo on both papers. And this says, Ruto's budget doublespeak. Ruto's budget doublespeak is the headline of the Daily Nation. Pictured there is President William Ruto. Whereas President Ruto has directed Treasury to implement budget cuts across both the national and county governments, his push for more borrowing beats the very purpose which the austerity measures were intended to achieve. Gentlemen, I want to bring you in at that very point. We speak about the many voices of President William Ruto. As per what the Daily Nation is saying here, and from the interview on Sunday with the media, President William Ruto said that now that the finance bill has been rejected and is ordered the clauses to be deleted, he'll proceed to borrow some more to a tune of 1 trillion Kenyan shillings. So it means initially, with the expectation of 300 billion being raised from this finance bill, he was still going to borrow close to 700 billion Kenyan shillings. The thought process behind taxation by President William Ruto is that we will tax you more and we will not borrow. But he is taxing more and still borrowing more at the same time. Is it possible? Let's just begin from a surface level. Is it possible to point out where the truth is? Even from you gentlemen, where you sit at. Can you find, is it easy for you guys to find where the truth is at? Fendo.
One, the president, I think, is suffering from one thing, and many Kenyans are asking themselves, who is advising the president? Is he not listening to the advisors, or is he advising himself? Because even him going to the idea that we are going to borrow more, just in an interview at night when I was watching it, who advised him about that? We have agreed, and as Kenyan youth are on media and are on streets and everywhere, social media, saying you need to reduce spending. We have a serious problem with spending. Sometimes I think we should even cease from calling it corruption. This is just theft of public money. I've been going through this newspaper and I've seen Ayub Savula, who is my deputy governor, also with another scandal of 122 million, and the office of the director of public prosecution was seeking to drop the case. And this is corruption. So if you begin by taking that money, if you begin by taking the 2.6 billion that you had allocated to deputy president's office for innovation, if you begin by removing those money that you had taken or allocated to the office of the first lady and the second lady, and I don't know the third lady, how much are we going to have? Begin by reducing all those expenditure and not just rushing to borrowing and borrowing. Second thing, the president also seemed not to explain to Kenyans where that we need an audit of that money. Where does it go? The first thing that we need to see Ruto doing is not seeking audience with the youth at the Twitter space. I mean the X space or social media platform with an interview. That is something that we are saying that we are tired with. We need to see you in action. We need to see you cutting those things. We need to see you start auditing these debts. Where did they go? Are we paying for things that we did not receive?
Yeah.
Some of these loans that are maturing the loans that they took in 2013 when they were coming to power,
yes.
which means he's knowledgeable and aware where that money went. So we need accountability from him and not PR stunts and even blaming the communication team.
Yeah.
When our communication team is blamed, it just means that they did not sell the PR or propaganda properly to swindle the team. He should have blamed the economical team, which means he's more interested on PR and appearance and not on the economic side.
Yeah.
And we still have a date with him on the streets.
Right. Yeah. President William Ruto has said that his travels have raised the profile of the Republic. And we are asking, is he an influencer or is he a president? As you've mentioned there, Fendo, more concerned with what the communication team is saying and less with what David Ndii and his team of economic advisors are up to. But just to maintain that on the many voices of Ruto, I liked what the Standard started with in that introduction. This is how it reads. Faced by a panel of seasoned editors, President William Ruto tried to empathize. At some point, he exhibited anger. At another, he was calm and collected, and he spoke. It has this story spread out on page 4 and 5. Michael, how can we have how possible is it to have a conversation with the president when he keeps changing whatever he's saying? He says Sunday, he says one thing. The next day, he says a different thing. I remember even last year in the finance bill of 2023, he requested for conversation. And I was sitting on this set in a similar discussion saying this is just a tactic by President William Ruto to just prolong these requests by Kenyans, the concerns that they had. And you can see clearly from the NADCO conversation, the NADCO report, it moved away from economic issues to constitutional and legal issues. More of, what does the Constitution say? How can we establish the office of this? How can we do this? And less of what we were crying about in the streets last year in the finance bill protests of 2023, which was the cost of living is going up. And eventually, President William Ruto, I could see it, that this is just his way of directing conversation where he wants it to go. And it seems the young people have seen through the cracks that we can't have this conversation. What can we do? Since we're at an inflection point, at a very momentous point in history, how can we have a conversation, or is it possible to even have a conversation with the president?
Well, I will say it is very possible to have a conversation with the president if he is willing. If he is willing to put his pride, I will say, his ego, accept that the population he's dealing with is an informed population, more so generation. Accept that he has been lying for long and people have seen through the cracks. Yeah. Accept that he has to come and face his own reality, which created. Accept that this class divide that he rode on to power has now turned against him. It's now working against him. And the worst part is that these people are informed. They know what is right, what is wrong. They've learned from, the older generation. They've learned from the protest of 2013, the protest of 2017. But now they have realized that we have to unite in order to have our voices heard. So I think the president can have a conversation with the people, but he should be willing to put aside his personality and listen to the voices of the people. Otherwise, there is no way. This will be a standoff, because what people are saying is, we need this done, these are our demands, around 14 or 15.
Yeah.
And this, we shall not accede or shall not accept anything less than this, unless we shall not stop going to the streets unless you accede to our demands. But the president has been, especially in the interview, I saw him skirting around issues. He was trying to dodge issues, and when he was cornered, he became angry. I even remember at some point, I think, was it Linus or someone asked him a question. He was like, stop picking biased scenarios.
Yes,
clips.
That was Linus, yes.
And as I was listening to it, I was wondering, how can it be biased when you're the one who said it?
And he hasn't even seen the clips
yet. How can it be biased when you're the one who, brought up the issue? So I think the president at this point is cornered. As you can see, other political leaders are, in a way, discreetly associating themselves with the people more than the president, leaving the buck with him. I think he needs to sit down with his advisors and be real and ask for real and concrete advice and act on it and realize that there's a new way or there's a new wave of people who need new solutions, who are not used to the old rhetoric, who have seen through the old rhetoric, and now they want cogent results, concrete results, and solutions to the problems bedeviling them.
You said that the very class division that he rode on, populism, as I was calling it before the election, that here ni president wa mtu wa kawaida, hustler, mama mboga, the same has come to now turn against him. You feel like he's in denial, the current situation that we are in, that he did not expect for us to get to this point?
Yes, the president is in denial. I think for the longest time, the president, let's be honest, has been lying. No. And he knows it. He knows it.
He knows he's been lying.
But these lies were camouflaged by, the tribe. Mtu wetu, our person, our ethnic group, this is on our side. And so, even his own people could not question him because they will be told by the elders, kijana wetu. No. People will see it. It's not like people who are blind. People saw it. It's only that the people who went to the streets had the courage. They developed the courage to go to the streets. But people have been seeing this. People. And I think what he's doing now, or what he should, as I've said before, he should accept the new reality that he has to say and do. Not just talk and come and lie to people and then play the tribal card, play the party card. It's about results now.
Yes.
And that's why I said, I hope in the coming future, and I just hope this is not a wave, but people will be put to task with, what have you done?
What have you done?
What have you done?
The big question. Yeah. That's actually what the young people are saying to President William Ruto. Don't talk, just do.
Just do.
If I woke up tomorrow and saw that there have been budget cuts, there's somewhere, as Fendo was saying, I can follow the audit and see pesa imetumika wapi. I will not want, to have a discussion at that point. I just want to see what's going on. People have been held responsible for the abductions, for the killings, for the corruption, the scrapping of offices. We need to see that happening and less of the discussion. The question that actually people are wondering, or what the concern is what answers are you going to provide on Thursday and Friday that you did not provide on Sunday in the previous interview? So the many voices of Ruto are putting us in a tricky situation where having a discussion with the president seems to be fruitless because, he'll say something today and tomorrow he'll be on an interview, say something else. I have Marcus Olang here with a comment saying, let's all be very clear. It's not only two choices. It's not only borrow or taxes. We've been saying it again and again. We have an expenditure problem and a corruption problem. If the bucket has gaping holes, no amount of water will fill it, no matter how much of it you put there. Fendo, do we have more options apart from the two choices, borrow or taxes?
We have more options. I think we have more options. One is just to seal off those loopholes. It's like telling people, go and fetch water, and those two buckets has some holes. They keep pouring water there, This water will continue overflowing and going and going and going.
Yeah.
We've also seen, and these people, I don't know if they're really listening or they are not listening. And the president, we've talked about the issue of president being in denial. I think he's still in denial, even that the finance bill 2024 is down. Even in an interview, he's still saying that finance bill, if it could pass, we could have this, this is what we're going to lose. He's still in denial and still defending something that Kenyans have told him, that this thing we don't want, take it to yourself. How do you tell people that we are giving you this finance bill whereby you'll be able to, to block the importation? And in that, there are some draconian laws, like the 2.5, taxation that was supposed to be put on imported vehicles or something like that, like on the bread. In fact, there are these people, and their PR is so low in the sense that they are saying we have dropped the bread tax and we have dropped the, I don't know which other tax, and they're not, those tax in the first place, they were not even there. So what are you dropping?
You drop what you did.
So they're coming to take us for a ride. Kibaki gave Kenyans free education. Kibaki gave Kenyans CDF. I think it's during Kibaki's time that CDF was introduced.
Yes.
Rural electrification. dispensaries, even to the remotest places, there are dispensaries. I can attest to that from my village in Lugari, where I come from. Those three things are there. Free primary education, CDF, rural electrification. And he had inherited a government from Moi who had led this country for 24 years. With all those stealing and all those things, still those some improvements. What did Ruto come to do? He came here, increased the university fee. If you look at the fee structures of the universities, there's so much. And this where is this money going? That's on people's pockets. You've also said that the president reducing the expenditure. The president now is flying. He cannot have a look at how bad the roads are. He's not using the roads that common mananchis are using. He's flying over their heads to go and promise them heaven on earth. And he's not delivering anything. You've said that you're going to talk with the president on the table about the improvement of people's lives. But how are we going to talk even when what you say and the mathematical calculation that you give people on podiums don't make sense? Say that you're going to put here 20 billion, you're going to put here 50 billion. When you do a calculation of
that
what you're saying,
does not make sense.
It is around 10 trillion that he has promised people. So we are not coming to be told stories ajaba. And we are being led by, we are having a lot of informed people who were educated by Mwai Kibaki, who have gone all the way up to the university. We saw Nini Nyoro came to Kenyatta University the other day and was trying to hike up the crowd, and people are just, greet us here, metosha, tell us what you want. You start telling us how I don't know, I began a hotel with the one sufuria and that. Then we are telling, but why stories are job until you notice that these people
are now informed.
These people are informed that they don't want to
listen to lies anymore.
And another thing I would like to advise the president, because he said that he needs to be advised, don't go to Twitter things, don't go to X things. Start by sacking corrupt politicians. The people who have stolen money, even from parents who have sold land to take their kids abroad, you are working with those people. You are still defending ministers who have sabotaged the agricultural sector in Kenya by selling people
fertilizer.
Right now, if you look at these papers, if you go deep inside, you find that fertilizer that had been donated to Kenya vanished.
It's here on page 7 of the Daily Nation, actually, from Russia.
It vanished. So what are we coming to talk with you? You have these newspapers here. Begin looking for corrupt people. Go to the replies you're getting on your Facebook, on your X posts, and get feedback and begin working on them. The way Matiang'i used to work, the way Kibaki used to sack ministers. He is a culprit of being sacked when he was Minister of Education. Why can't he do the same
of what happened to him?
Of what happened to him?
Right. That is Fendo there, of course, reacting to the many voices of Ruto. He seems to be speaking different wherever he goes, whether in media or on the ground. You can read actually for yourself the whole transcription of that interview. I just saw it here. Let me inform you on which page to flip. I think it was on the Standard, I believe. That transcription, page 4 and 5. Yes. So it says, Ruto's interview reveals struggle to keep promises amid protests. This was an interview, if you missed it, that was done by KTN News, NTV, and Citizen, represented by Eric Latif, Joe Ageyo, and Linus Kaikai, respectively. The transcribed version of the questions and the answer session is here. The whole list, you can read the questions and see what the president had to say there on page 4 and 5 of the Standard. So they did a good job there to help people also still continue to follow through with the many voices of William Ruto. Just to talk about that fertilizer, since you brought it up, Fendo, it's on page 7. Page 7 of the Daily Nation, guys, this morning shows a mystery of Russian fertilizer donations which vanished into thin air. Cabinet Secretary did not respond to the request for this comment, but the Auditor General is pictured here showing the cargo, or talking about how the cargo disappeared. 564 tons of fertilizers. 564 tons is a lot to disappear in the seas. To attain food and nutrition security, I propose an allocation of 54.6 billion for various programs under this sector. That's the National Treasury, CS Njuguna Dungu, talking about, I think, an allocation that they were doing to that ministry. But we can see we have an agriculture ministry which is failing, and it's in crisis, from the fake fertilizer to fertilizer disappearing. Then we have an education system which is also in crisis. Questions here, back page of the Daily Nation, questions abound over grade 9 lack of preparedness. It's 6 months into the time when we need to have the new grade 9 students who just left the other system of 844, but now hatuna infrastructure. JSS, the transition between primary school and this grade 9, hapo katikati, we need to have JSS teachers, interns, unposted, 46,000. Mulikata finance bill ya 2024, which was supposed to allocate teachers into these schools, but now it's not. Without the finance bill, Fendo and Mko, how can we help the country? That's what President William Ruto is asking. Mmekata finance bill, sasa itabidi mmedil na shida zenu.
I think President William Ruto is putting the cart before a horse, or how is that quote?
A horse before the cart.
A cart before the horse.
Before the horse.
I want to push it. These are key issues that we need to address. This, when you are saying that cut costs at the office of the deputy president, at the office of the first lady, I even saw the former president of Kenya, saying that my fuel guzzlers have not been, I don't know, those, I'm supposed to be given 4 new fuel guzzlers. Those are some of examples of misuse of public funds. So take that money. In fact, Kenya has a lot of money. Handling this JSS is just being political. And Moses Wetangula said one thing, that Ruto's government is a political government. If you look all those cabinet secretaries, they are more of politicians intending to achieve political scores. You know, we need to see technocrats there. These JSS teachers can be employed there. Right now, what have the members of parliament say? They are increasing their salaries. And what are they saying? We are not going to pay the JSS. That's what I say, putting the cart before a horse. You know, why is the member of parliament salary keep increasing and this one not
even remitted?
No, not even remitted.
Yes.
These teachers, maybe they just need 10 billion. How many billion do the SS teachers need?
They were allocated 18 billion. 18 and
billion.
They received 13, so there's 5 missing.
5 missing.
Just
and
five.
remember an individual person, Rigathi Gachagua's office is given 2.6 billion. So you can start by that. Kwanza tuweke, as we discuss tuchukue hiyo tu tuweke hapa hivi. Ingine tukireduce pale kwa this office of the first lady, utoe ya Mudavadi, utoe ya huyu, it will sort that thing comfortably. Completely. And plus this theft of public money that is that the DPP is seeing to remove from these kitties, you know, we'll be able to see that, and we can all tell the president where our money is. And our scandal, the Aurora and Kimwarer Dam, where are those money? If those projects were not implemented, take that money and pay IMF. And these people who have died, I think we should honor them. There was one person who used to come here for interviews, and I saw he was missing. I hope he was found.
We did find him. That is Dennis Kimani, the YGS chairperson. Yes, he'd gone missing for a whole week. IMF is imposing draconian tax measures on Kenyans. There are people who have shed the blood. These are people who are fighting the IMF policies. Isn't this fighting, how is it called? Isn't this fighting for a country? These are freedom fighters. These are new Mau Maus. Nobody's talking about that. These are not criminals, to call them, you know. These are people who are fighting those draconian, because the modern day colonization is through taxation. Nobody's going to give you slavery, going to chain you. They're going to chain you through taxation. So these people have died there. Ruto should recognize them as the Mau Mau fighters. I mean, as the freedom liberators of the youth this new age
of this country and of this age. So on that issue that you've just said, we cannot say that we are not going to pay JSS teachers and there is no money, and yet we've been collecting money. We're still collecting money. These misplaced priorities begin with those guys. We have been given loan by the United States when you went there to build, to extend the
Nairobi Mombasa.
The Nairobi Mombasa. We have SGR there. We have the tarmac road there. You can use air to fly to that. Why are you adding another another road there? It is going to be redundant. Like if I have this shirt, just to use an analogy, I have this shirt, I have this button here. I go and take another loan to put another button here. I go and take another loan to put another button on
an express button.
Why don't I now even take and put even a zip on a trouser? So you cannot take loans to put things that we have. Take that loan, go and build an industry. In fact, when you use the term industry, it's like they're not understanding. Factories. If you use factories, even a common man will understand.
We'll understand what that means.
A factory is able to employ 10,000 people and improve the society around there, and the economy will boom there. And we've told people, this housing levy is a serious scam. I don't know why people are not talking about it. Hiyo ni kibarua ya mjengo. Immediately the kibarua ends, employment yako imeisha. The people who created Thika Super Highway, where are they right now?
They're not
ni kibarua ikiisha umelipwa 700 per day, you go home. You itabaki up Kenya. The people who build standard gauge railway, where are they? But the people who are working in industries like Brookside, they're still employed there. The people who have been employed in industrial areas, in industries, in Mumias Sugar, if it's functioning, and in sugar industries, those people can go there, earn money, the boda around there, the mamamboga around, that is an empowerment. But if IMF is going to give you loan to build redundant projects that cannot even generate money, and then you become colonized and become crippled by them, then those are some of the things that we should refuse.
Right. I can sense where the anger by President William Ruto is coming from, because therefore it means he's answering to bosses elsewhere. They are, as you call them, the modern day colonial masters who these people have fought against to get freedom, of course, economic freedom, especially in this day and age. Wakili Michael, I was looking at the report from the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, and we've lost 39 people that have been accounted for. There could be even more, but 39 killed. This is as of 1st of July, yesterday. 39 killed, 361 injured. Disappearances are at 32. Arrest of protesters at 627. This does not seem to deter the youth from going out today again, or from stating their demands. Part of those demands which are there, Fendo, in the reducible minimums, is the housing levy. Scrap that housing levy, which has been collected since last year. But I have a question though. The president called these people criminals, treasonous, and all those words just a day before he changed and called them sons and daughters. So he seems to be having too much to say and nothing to say at the same time. My question now is, how do we benefit from this moment, and which has been offered to us by this youth revolt? How do we ensure that it takes us to a better place and not our worst place? Our worst place includes all these killings, the fear, of course, which is part of the thing young people are fighting against. Let not whatever the PR from the president says bring you guys any fear about protesting or going out for your rights. But then there's death involved. There's destruction of property involved. There's so much abduction and missing. How do we still ensure we are going, to a better place, so that when history is written, they say it's at this point that, we went to the positive and not back to, some videos I was seeing in 1999 when Kinanjoya were trying to go against Moi, and it, people disappeared for good even to date. How do we go to a better place?
I think in the current situation where people are going to the streets, first of all, I would like maybe talk it from a constitutional perspective. Article 1, sovereignty of the people. Article 2, talking about, Article 2 talking about sovereign power may be exercised directly or through their democratically elected representatives. Yes. I think the people this time decided to do it directly because their democratically elected representatives have failed them.
Yes,
they have failed in, when we look at Article 6, leadership and integrity. Chapter 6, leadership and integrity. The state has failed us. The leaders, elected leaders, have done nothing. They are no longer answerable to the people. In fact, if you look at Article 73 of the Constitution, still under leadership and integrity, it talks about the authority bestowed upon state officers is to empowers or bestows upon them a responsibility to serve the people. Not to use the power to rule them. It's to serve the people. Not to rule.
Not to rule.
Yeah. Not to use the power to rule them, but to serve the people. But what these people have been doing, or what the president and the MPs are doing, is they are forcing issues on the people. And the demonstrations, people coming out to defend, uphold the Constitution, that again is Article 3 of the Constitution, is a right, under Article 37 also of the Constitution, to assembly, picket, petition the authorities, tell them we are displeased with how you're ruling us. But I think going forward, as I vouch for the demonstrations until tangible change is hand, there's something I'll say in Kiswahili, unauma ukifuliza.
Kama ile design ya panya.
Kama panya, exactly. Unauma ukifuli. So I think going forward, tunauma vizuri. People wanauma na wanafaa ume vizuri. But at the same time, kufuliza is the dialogue.
Yeah.
We should have the dialogue. The president should be willing to come to the table. It should be, and it has to be both parties should be willing to talk. Of course, the people are willing to talk. We are ready to sit on the table and have our demands. In fact, the demands have been put there.
Have already been put.
The president should just act.
Yeah.
The president should just act. What we should do to get tangible, maybe change or progress going, is to maintain the pressure. This should not probably be a one-time thing that we do it then, because I'm sure now the political class is looking for solutions. How do we divide these people?
Yeah.
They have insisted they're leaderless, they're tribeless, they're partyless. So if I was an MP,
be worried.
I'll be worried.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, let me. I might like giving an analogy because I participated in student politics back then in UN, and our chairman then, who is now in politics, I remember the first meeting he called us and he told us, I was green then, so he told us, it was a meeting, he told us, in politics for three things. The money, you choose one thing actually, the money, the fame, or women.
Or women. Okay.
I can't forget that quote because I was shocked.
Politics.
Yeah, it's politics, and it's true. When you go in politics, you access all
that.
Yeah, it's true. The money is there, fame is there, women are there. They're attracted to power.
Yeah.
But we have come to a point where you can't just go into politics thinking about yourself. The youth have stood there and said, no, you need to think about us. We have elected you. If you want to address us in parliament, tutakuaddress kwako mashinani. No, we'll follow you to your house and talk to you. And say, have a conversation with you. Tutakusalimia. So I think if I was a leader, and I will personally try and have a candid conversation, accept that the old way of doing things is probably on its deathbed, and call people and have a reasonable discussion. Take some action, do one or two things, because I'm sure unless there is tangible change, unless the president cracks the whip, then I don't foresee a solution or
coming out of it
anytime soon.
Right.
Yeah, because people are energized. The people protesting have strength, and
have time.
And they have time.
Yes.
Time is on their side. They can still go to the streets because anyway we're not working.
We're not doing anything.
We're not doing anything. We can go and protest, come back. We're still at home. In fact, with our parents, we go eat in the morning, come back and protest. So I think the way forward is both parties should sit down, have a talk, but. The demands that are set out on social media, as has been put, the president should just pick 1, 2, 3, or 4, and just as a starter, just to tell them, okay, now we started, and maybe provide a roadmap for how he shall deal with the rest.
Get to all of them.
Exactly. That's how I think the president should deal with it.
A show of good faith.
A show of good faith. He who comes to the negotiating table should come with clean hands.
Yeah.
What is your offer? What do you propose? What do we start with? Okay, I can start with this, A, B, C, and D. Then we can deal with the rest progressively. Because I also think the president is in a catch-22 situation, especially with regards to the calls for resignation of some of the corrupt officials or people who have been associated with scandals, most of whom are his close allies. There's the political, question he has to grapple with. If I maybe sack them from office, does it affect my popularity or my votes in the coming election? Again, the people want them off. So I think he has tough choices to make, but he should make the best decision, and the best decisions will be hard for him.
Yes.
But I'm sure if he takes the people on his side, if he agrees with the people, come 2027, people will see his work and definitely probably give him another chance. But
hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not on that last part of giving him another chance. But that's just my opinion. What I liked from what your submission was is, for a long time, even on this show, even before President William Ruto, the discussions on such a newspaper review were, why are the youth not involved? Those were the questions I used to ask almost everyone on this show. Why are the youth not involved in governance? Why are we not involved in leadership? Why are we not? And then it seems that overnight, somehow, the youth were like, sawa, tumesikia, okay? tumesikia, sasa ndo hawa sisi, we'll come to your house, we'll come to your office, we'll come to bunge, we'll come to we will come. But then suddenly now, President William Ruto and the government in general is like, hey, okay, sio hivyo, like, yes, mkuje, but sio hivyo sana. So it seems to be a shocker, which takes me back to what I was saying, the denial part. He's still in denial that, oh, wow, overnight, these people do not want wataki mchezo anymore. And for a populist president who, even before in his election, was, a man of numbers, of saying, of promises, that seems to be affecting him now, given that 2027 bid as well. I saw David Ndi go online in a response to one of the citizens who was asking about, I think there was school fees or just something to the citizens. And his response was, how will that give us votes in 2027?
Yeah.
Just blatant out there that him and his team in State House are concerned about how we can get more votes for the president to get into power. It was about CASs, yes. The scrapping of CASs. These are the people who will allow President William Ruto to get more votes. But now the people hawataki kusikia hiyo mambo. Let me read a bit of feedback. It's 9:44 in the morning, and then we can now try and see a bit more of the stories and wind up as well. So that I don't lock out anyone. Simba Dan, amesema, huko JKUAT, they have sent an ambassador by the name of Fendo. JKUAT well represented. Yes. Simba Dan anauliza, what does the government of Kenya have to do to help reducing the killing of young souls? They should stop killing them. It's the government of Kenya, and that's all. That's all they need to do. That's the question from Simba Dan. And anauliza pia, what does the government of Kenya need to do, as per the words, to help the youth get employment, yet corruption is submerging almost everything? I'll continue reading so that if you pick up anything, you can respond to it as well. George Muturi, more options, seal loopholes, cut on expenditure, like per diem, sitting allowances, benchmarking trips, recover the stolen cash, the cash that is stashed in offshore accounts. He also says the country is in on autopilot, according to his view of the state of the nation. Citizenry must go to a high altitude and work on the plains cluster to avoid crashing in the sea. I agree with the panelists. The president knows the right thing. He has the intelligence and the elite at his doorstep. We lost face masks, COVID vaccines, and other donations, and made some people billionaires overnight. So it seems there are going to be some fertilizer billionaires also with this, what has disappeared here. Any response to those comments before we move to any other story?
Yeah, first I'd like to thank Dan, who is watching from JKUAT. I'm also enrolled for a diploma in IT there. So I'm also trying to enhance knowledge pale with IT in JKUAT, and they are my classmates from JKUAT. So on the issue of corruption, and I want to be very honest and frank with this, no PR, not telling people what they want to hear. And this has even been said by the American government, that the issue of corruption cannot be fought by a politician. We've been in this table several times and have said that it is the politicians who create that problem, and a person who has created a problem cannot fight that problem. The issue of corruption is about Kenyans fighting for it by themselves, without any help from the politicians. The way we have gone to parliament is us fighting that corruption. And we begin by disciplining and going to greet members like the one who was pushing the finance bill. We go there and greet him kidogo. You passing these things. What are they? Issues like the deputy governor of Kakamega. In as much as the government is aiding in termination of that case, and is a lawyer, maybe he can give a brief on that, about the termination of these corruption cases. And the courts have come out clear and say that you're not going to terminate this, you're going to proceed with this case. That's how corruption is grooming,
institutionalized,
and they're giving people 100 shillings, 200 shillings. That is corruption. We are eating corruption. And I said once that when corruption is favoring you, you call it connection, but when it does not favor you, you call it
corruption.
Corruption. Another thing, Ruto, is dealing with the youth, and this position he held in the YK 1992. So he has been a youth leader and knows the power of the youth, what a mobilized youth means. So he is well conversant and he knows what a mobilized youth can do, because he was a leader in that 1992 as a youth, and he was a Moise Hansboy, kijana ya Moise na Cyrus Jirongo wakipeana.
So at that point, actually, Rigathi Gachagua was saying that the president did not receive the correct information does not count, because this is a man who was in this kind of mobilization.
He knows all this. He knows how to steal money. He knows how to be sacked from a CS position. He knows how to, selling fake. All these things are things he knows. He has been a member of parliament. He knows how those things go there. In fact, all these things, he has been through experience to them.
Yes.
He has dealt with all these politicians.
And
he has never dealt with the informed youth. That's why he's seriously looking for who are the leaders of these. When all these people are abducted, they were asked 2 questions. Who are your leaders? Who is funding you? So that they go there. And the Gen Zs have said that we don't have leaders. And one thing with the Gen Z's characteristics, people believe that Gen Z, or thought that Gen Zs don't love books. Gen Zs love books, they read, they attend class. I am with them at JKUTV Diploma, as old as I am. These people attend all classes. When a lecturer comes there and misses classes, why are you missing classes? These people don't go to clubs. These people read. These people want good structured marriages. And like these millennials,
with their confusion.
And they love the truth. They just want a fair thing. You cannot employ a Gen Z. You start
treating them unfairly. They tell you off. And these are people who want to be entrepreneurs. So you must study these people and understand what they really want. They just want a fair society. Another thing is that the youth not being involved on the table, when you've said, it's the youth who went and fought and went to parliament. But when he's calling the pastors who are going there and their bellies, to go there and say that they are praying for peace. Where were they when Kenyans were suffering? When Kimani, the member of parliament, the one was pushing Kimani Kuria, he took the pastors to go and pray for his house, and not the pastors to go to the streets to pray for the people who have lost their lives, and not the advisors to advise where wrong the constitutional issues is. So the church has also been a problem and has been sabotaging issues, whereby the people who have died is the youth. The people have done there, and this pastors going there to negotiate on behalf of the youth, and on that table there is no youth. Because they receive money from corruption. Even amid this corruption, amid this death and demonstrations, the first lady was to take another funding to a church in, I think, Ngong, to take another donation there, 20 million. Up until when she was warned.
This money should be taken to hospitals. There are no medicines. There are no schools. There are no classrooms that can accommodate the growing number of people. But they're taking them to churches. But what is the church doing towards solving the tax problem in this case?
When taxation happens, the churches are not involved.
They are not even paying the taxes. They're not solving and reducing, but they're taking these burdens to the common mwananchi. So these churches should also be reduced, or they should also be paying taxes towards elimination of, towards the reduction of this public debt.
Yes. All right. Michael, you have a response to the comments before we pick out one more story?
Let me address the issue of public office, as he was talking about the release of cases being closed. We've seen that a number of times. And especially when the new Ruto administration came into power, we found the DPP applying to have cases withdrawn, under suspicious circumstances, assets recovery agency applying, say they didn't have evidence, and in some cases, and there's a very good, I would say, radical, or maybe some call him an activist judge, Professor Sifuna.
Yes.
He has made some landmark, judgments, rulings. He's the one even said, for example, that you can even attach the government's property in case they have refused to pay you, which was a relief. But a month later or some weeks later, the Court of Appeal overturned it, so you cannot attach. But there were times he refused. DPP was applying to withdraw some cases, and then he will take them to task. He even called one of the directors, telling them, the lawyers, no, you're not doing. Call me a director, let them swear an affidavit, and in case, just in case there is any liability, the person who swore the affidavit shall be held liable. But what is happening now is we have a feeling, and that the DPP, as much as under Article 157, it is an independent office, expressly it should not be under the control or direction of any other person. But we have a feeling that
the executive is in control.
The checks and balances, because what happens is that the DPP has to go through Parliament. And who are the majority in Parliament? Executive.
The one who's in the city.
So as much as the Constitution has checks and balances. Indeed, if the MPs were independent, that would be a good check and balance. But the DPP automatically,
has to align
with, the appointing power, even though the constitution designed him to be.
So who's failing at this point? And because this is on an institutional level, Fendo alikuwa amesema you can't let a corrupt person fight corruption because they are benefiting from it anyway. And when I see some of those cases being dropped, the DPP applies and says, there's not enough evidence for that, and the court drops it. At this point, if you were to go with the Occupy, where should we occupy? Is there a problem with the whole judiciary? Are these judges as well compromised? What can be done on that end, or is it the end of the DPP alone? Where is the disconnect, or is it just a route across that now we need to occupy everywhere and every institution?
I listened to Beatrice Elachi. I think was it last week but one.
Yeah, last week.
And I heard her saying this. The way people went to the MPs, if you find a road that has not been constructed well, and the contractor, follow him. Tafika huko, msalimieni. Send your greetings to him, have a word with him. And I think that's the way to go forward. If as is rightly put it, and as you've talked before, it's not the politicians, it's the citizens. Now that, and they were talking about what they're talking, private information being put out there. The thing is, a public officer cannot sue for the information. Everything about a public officer is public.
Yes,
that's why the numbers were put out there, and unaweza msalimia vile unataka. Go say greetings, put them to account, talk to them, raise your grievances. I think that's the way to go. This, if people looked at this and the way I see it, people should take it in their hands. If you feel someone is not doing okay, mobilize, follow him. Mbona ufanye. If you feel your case has not been adjudged well, okay, you can appeal, but you can also talk to the judge directly. We know you're doing this. We have filed a petition. Maybe you file, because sometimes they say, I won't say the judges are clean. Yeah, there are a few corrupt judges. There are some matters that go and you're like, how did this ruling go about? It doesn't make sense. And sometimes it catches up with them during promotions. Because
that case has to be reviewed.
Yeah, lawyers are asked to send their comments anonymously when a judge or magistrate is asking for promotion. So if you made a ruling that doesn't make sense, you just be asked by the commissioner. The principle is this: how did you apply this? So I think people should take it in their hands and put everyone to account.
Yes.
It's all public officers, police, the chief, the sub-chief, if they're still there, that is, talk to them, tell them, we know you're doing this. Because now it is, now that we've lost faith in our institutions, and which I do agree there is a rot in the institution, I think people should take it upon their hands, and this is a good start for putting the MPs to task.
Okay. Yeah. Right, gentlemen, thank you very much, Michael. That was a very detailed submission, and I liked it. I'm hoping that we've learned there that we put everyone into, yani watu wanaamka akijua nikitoka hivi mtu anaweza niuliza ulitupromise maji last week iko
exactly.
Ama tukuje kutusalimia leo jioni, and then everyone knows hapa itabidi we do work. As you said, in 2027 when the next election cycle comes in, it's not which party are you coming from, which tribe, what's your second name, I don't care, what have you done. Let's start from what you've done so that we see what you can do after this. Gentlemen, it's 9:57 in the morning. Unfortunately, I really wanted us to speak about police in Haiti. I wanted us to speak about a Mogoka van that overturned in Kwale. There's so much to also have a look at in terms of the new prices, cooking oil that is coming up, the education system. So because we can't go into all of those details, I'll start from Fendo. A minute each, please. We speak on anything else that I've left here, and also on the state of the nation. Today they are likely of protests, so you can speak on that. A word to the protesters and the youth who are going out there, and to the government. And then we can wrap it. Just a minute each, please. Fendo.
So thank you very much for this opportunity. We are, as my friend Michael had described, we are in a historic moment. We need to stand to be counted on what is happening. But the greatest accountability is us putting our leaders and us ensuring that we are making informed decisions that will take this country forward. A decision that will make sure that we are informed. A decision that we're living a better Kenya than any other Kenya. Another thing is just to urge on the issue of Haiti, because the thing that I really feel is very important to this nation is that we don't need PR stunts. I've read in a newspaper over the weekend that the police were promised to be paid 100,000 shillings, but upon landing, they were given 20,000 shillings.
Only.
You know, the first thing they've done is to be demotivated. You know, which government is this that keeps on lying, even to somebody who's risking their life to fight for Kenya? So we are at a very critical moment, and the government agencies, we are losing, and the citizens are losing confidence with them. When the president is talking and people are saying, can he be trusted? Can he be trusted? How sure are we going to ensure that even the number of deaths that are being reported from Haiti on our officers are correct? Because that's the issue that we'll have discussed in this newspaper, because the citizens are saying that there are some police officers who have already been killed in Haiti and the government is dismissing it. And the thing that people are fighting is that accountability and trustworthy from this government. So government needs to pull up its socks. It needs to be truthful. And Ruto needs to shape up or ship out. And if you'll not ship out, the citizens are more than ready to help him ship him out. Another is a congratulatory message to the people who accessed parliament. Okenya and the fellow interviewers here and the fellow panelists here and all the cameramen here with. So these people went to the parliament. Guns were ranting the air. The sound of guns were ranting the air. No one took a step back, even a light step. I mean, them at the universities. Ukisikia sauti ya risasi, wewe ni kupotea. In fact, mimi najua kuna wana risasi kama ya 3 inakujanga. Hiyo ya 3 ikishalia, wewe potea. But those ones, they marched forward without going back. That's the type of marching we need to see Kenya change. Thank you very much.
Michael, 1 minute, please.
1 minute.
Actually, first time.
I would like to encourage the people in the streets to go on marching. We shall join them soon afterwards. I'm so proud of what is happening now. I'm so proud to be in this moment. But I urge the government to listen to the people, to heed to their demands, to make sure that whatever is being asked for should be implemented. You know, just even 1 or 2, 3 or 4 issues can be done for a start so that the people regain faith in the government. And I'm so sorry for the people who died. I would like to pass my condolences to their families and everything. But they died as heroes, and you know they shall be remembered in one way or another.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael, and thank you, Fendo. I'll close it at this point. Again, just to pick it up from Michael, condolences to all those who lost, the families of those who lost their lives. The march is on, and we're hoping that faith will still be strong, regardless of the fear that is coming out of the government. And an urge to the government, man. You're not the government. You, and as an individual, you are in government. You're not the government. So when your day comes, that government will not be there to help you from the wrath of the citizens. Let me close it there before I get enraged. Thank you for keeping it on Biashara Tuesday, live from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. This is KUTV Rise Today. We come back next week on Monday, Art and Culture. Alafu Tuesday, we speak business. The business of the Republic is still business, so that's why we are focused on what the government is doing and the young people are up to. My name is Richard Okenye. You can follow me and interact with me on social platforms at Richard_Okenye. That's why I'm at on all the platforms. To leave you with something today, which is whatever it is that will drive you forward, invest in it. This is from Cheriot KB on Twitter. So I'll close with this one. Invest in yourself, invest in your education, invest in your appearance, invest in your mental health, invest in your personal finances. I wish you a successful week. May your humor be high, but I hope that your profits are higher so that you can laugh all the way to the bank. From my producer and director, Ryan Ngure, to the camera people here, just to mention them, Naomi, Austin, Akinyi, Stacy, Washira, Bonnie, Victoria. In the sound, we have Trevor. At the TX, we have streaming. On social media streaming, we have Fred. And then assistant to my director, Ngure, is called Gadhoni. It takes a whole village to bring this show to you. So we're grateful that you created time. I'll see you around.